Hello everybody, and in today's video we'll be tracking our first winter storm threat of the season between November 7th and November 8th. As you would expect, about 100 hours out, we do still have some big differences between the models. So, in this video we'll be comparing the GFS and Euro as well as their ensembles specifically. First we'll start off with the 500 millibar maps, quickly getting to the surface, and then the snowfall maps. So before we get started though, if you are interested in this type of weather-related content heading into the upcoming winter, feel free to hit that subscribe button as we will have many more updates on many different storms this upcoming winter for your area. So, starting off with the GFS, we'll be focusing on this energy in the southern stream here in the southern US and any interaction that may have with this energy in the northern stream. And as you can see, we want this energy over here in Oklahoma, Texas, overall the Southern Plains, to interact with this energy in Wisconsin and the Great Lakes. But what the GFS does, as opposed to the Euro, is the GFS really scoots this energy in the northern stream a little bit too far east. It's a little bit too progressive with that energy, and this energy in the southern stream is also further south than the Euro, so it doesn't really interact with the streams or the northern stream in any way. So pretty much what the northern stream then does, it acts as a high pressure and acts as confluence, so it pretty much kicks this energy in the southern stream directly east off the coast because it has no driving mechanism to take it up the coast and give portions of maybe the northeast, New England, that winter storm that we're talking about. Now let's look at the Euro though. You can already see this energy in the northern stream is a little bit more behind, a little bit more west, and also this energy in the southern stream is in Kansas. So it's also a little bit more north, as previously stated. So this energy does interact with each other. The two streams do interact with each other. So now, this energy will have a mechanism to get a little bit further north and east up the coast. So this energy heads east-northeast into Pennsylvania, southern New England. Typically when you see these small areas of energy right about in here, that signals precipitation falling at the surface. So the Euro has quite a bit of interaction compared to the GFS, which has pretty much no interaction. Looking at the GFS on the surface, it's pretty much what you would expect. Nothing really. The GFS, you do see a little bit of snow breakout in the Carolinas, but that's not really realistic, unfortunately, for this time of the year. Looking at the Euro, though, it's a completely different story. Look at this moderate precipitation already building out in the Midwest. That continues its way east into portions of the Ohio Valley, heading into the northeast and upper mid-Atlantic. Some good snowfall falling in eastern Ohio, northern Pennsylvania, as well as western Pennsylvania, the southern tier of New York, and also eastern New York, and especially southern New England. Now, what the Euro does is it develops a low-pressure system. This is typical with these types of systems where a low pressure pops off the coast, strengthens a little bit, and then what happens is it gives New England a little bit more snowfall compared to other regions. Just because, of course, they benefit from this coastal low-pressure system in the precipitation department a little bit more. So looking at the Euro snowfall, the GFS, this would pretty much just be nothing. So there's nothing to look at on the GFS. Now the Euro, though, northern PA, 4 to 6 inches. Much of the southern half of New York, really, 4 to 6 inches. And then much of southern New England, 6 to 8 inches. That's because of the coastal interaction. Now, which solution do we buy? It's really hard to tell at this point, just because the GFS and the Euro are really doing their own thing. There's not much agreement, by any other models. We're looking at the Canadian, we're looking at, other models such as the German Icon. It's not the greatest model, but, just these other models, and they have such different solutions from these two models, the GFS and the Euro. So we're not too sure which one's right. Of course, the Euro is a little bit better historically, and it was a little bit better with that Plains blizzard. I think that was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. I think it was last week. But we do like to look into the ensembles just because there's 20 ensembles on the GFS and I think 50, 52 maybe on the Euro. So there is, when you look at the mean, there's some agreement, of course, between the individual members. But when you look at the mean, it can get a little bit more reliable, of course, than the individual members, because sometimes they like to do their own thing. But when you look at the mean, it can be, a decent thing to look at. But of course, operational, it's a little bit better. So, looking at the GFS ensemble, there is a relatively light snowfall in New York State, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, but just really not much. You can see some members might develop that low pressure off the coast of New England, but it just all falls over the ocean. It's a little bit too late. And maybe the low pressure is just a little bit too far off the coast. So maybe eventually it did go northeast, but the snowfall pretty much all falls in the ocean. So looking at and that does pretty much also say how, we're really moving into a cold pattern if we're seeing a lot of snow falling over the ocean. But anyways, looking at the Euro ensemble. Now, this is a little bit further north than the Euro operational. Of course, you won't see as high numbers just because not all members are even, on board with the same solution. Typically, when you get closer to storms, you see the mean go up just because more of the members, of course, get a little bit more accurate as you get closer into the storm. And they also agree more, but we do see a general regime of 2 to 4 inches from New York State into New England, far northern PA, northeast Ohio, but where many of you probably live in central PA, or, the southern half of PA, much of New Jersey, far southern New England, still a little bit too far north for those areas. Now, could it come south? Sure, there's a chance. We're still 100 hours out. We still have 4 to 5 days out. That is a lot of time for things to change, Even in the plains blizzard, or not blizzard, I'm just so used to saying plains and blizzard because they just typically see blizzards. But the plains storm last week, we didn't really see agreement until 36 hours out. And even still, the models were kind of doing their own things. So this is not an end-all solution. This is not a locked-in solution whatsoever. Now, unfortunately, timing looks a little bit bad as precipitation, regardless, looks to start, in the late afternoon in southern PA, central New Jersey. I would say southern New Jersey really doesn't have a shot at this, but. And then in New England, it's a little bit better timing. But as far as, could the rain snow line come south regardless? It could, but we'd probably see a little bit weaker precipitation just because we'd have to kind of see a combination between an amped northern solution, as the Euro says, and the GFS, which is the complete opposite. But they'd kind of have to meet in the middle, and then you'd have that shot of maybe a little bit weaker snowfall, but it would be a little bit further south. So if you just want first flakes, I guess that's what you should be cheering for. But if you want a decent storm, I don't know if the odds are that great, unfortunately, in southern PA and central New Jersey. But, this is still 100 hours out. So definitely be sure to stay tuned for more updates. We still have that Visa gift card giveaway going on until November 11th. So all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and just leave a comment about anything on any of our videos. And we will pick a winner on November 11th. And if you don't win from that, we'll have another $25 Visa gift card giveaway for the following few weeks. So, and the same comments will still be valid. So, anyways, we will have more updates on this. I'll probably have a map out for you guys on the Facebook page later this afternoon, and here on YouTube probably tomorrow morning is when you'll be watching this. I don't have a map out today. It's really pointless. You might see maps on other channels, but the models are just so different from each other. So it's really not worth putting out a map and getting people's hopes up just because, there's so many differences. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody, and stay tuned for more updates.